So now that I've started my game, effectively, I've got a blue square showing up. I need to actually go and think about what am I going to tackle first. So at the start, I built a mind map. So what am I going to build first? Well, I suppose logically, the most important thing to build first is probably the board. Because if I can build the board, then everything else can kind of hang off that particular structure. So I'm just going to forget about the shortcuts for now. I'm just going to think about this board being a series of grid squares, so 10 by 10. Okay, so all I'm going to do is solve this problem first, one problem at a time. I need to make a 10 by 10 array of grid squares. Okay. So I'm going to go to my code. Now, on my code, how am I going to do this? So the board is 100 squares. Now, I think I want each square to kind of be an independent entity. So maybe, because I don't know, maybe I'll need to attach some data to them or have them kind of self-contained. So I could actually construct the whole thing here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to construct a class, or I'm going to basically construct this idea of a prototype or virtual idea of a square. So I'm going to make a new file, and I'm going to call it square.js. Now, this file is going to contain the information for a square. What it is, it's going to have the square being able to draw itself and know what number it is. So the way I do that, I create something called a class. Now, because it's a virtual object, I'm going to or a prototype, I'm going to capitalize it. So a square. Now, when I create a square, I need to actually construct a real one, because what I'm doing, I'm constructing an idea of a square. Like, you have the idea of a car, and then you actually can go and build the physical object. So this is the idea. So I'm going to need to be able to construct something based on it. Now, what information do I need to send to the square in order for it to construct itself? Well, I think all I'm going to send to the square is its number. So it's going to, when I build this, I'm going to have a loop that creates 100. So it's going to send through square 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is going to each square is going to remember its own number. So this dot number equals number. So this means that whatever I send through when I construct it, the square is going to know its own number. What else is the square going to need to do? Well, I'm just going to make it draw itself. So it's going to have a method that draws itself. Now, how do I draw a rectangle? Well, I'm using P5.js, so the way I do a rectangle is I type rect. Now, when you use the rect method, you need to put in, or the rect function, you need to put in 4 pieces of information. You need to put in the top left x, the top left y, and the width and the height. So width and height should be able to be worked out potentially, but top left x and top left y, I don't know. So each square, let's work out its width and height. So this dot width is going to equal the 100. I'm going to make it 50. And this dot height equals 50. So each square knows its own width and height. So this will be this dot width, and this will be this dot height. Doesn't know it's left and right. So, but hang on, what I'm going to do to start with, I'm going to make like a 0 and 0. Okay, so at the moment, I've got the idea of a square. And the square will know its own number. It will know how wide it is and how high it is. When I tell it to draw itself, at 0, 0, which is in the top left-hand corner, It's going to draw a rectangle that's 50 wide and 50 high. So at the moment in my code, if I actually am running this still, I won't see anything happen. There won't even actually be any rectangles or squares created. So over in Sketch, I need to somehow work out how I'm going to store all of these squares. It's going to have 100 of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a list. I'm just going to have a list of 100 squares. So let squares square list equal an array. So that's just in a list. And when I set things up, I'm going to actually create all the squares. So I'm going to create 100 of them. So I need to do a for loop. So for let I equal 0, I is less than 100, I plus plus. It's going to loop 100 times. And it's going to go let a new square equal a new square, and it's going to send through the value of I. So this square here is this constructor. So that means it's going to create 100 of these things, and each one's going to have a different number from 0 to 99. And with this, I'm going to add that to the square list. So square list dot push the new square. Now, if I try and run this now, it's actually going to crash. And the reason it crashes is because it says square is not a constructor. Now, the reason that's happening is because this file here, square.js, I have not actually included in my program. So over here, before I do sketch.js, I'm just going to copy that line and change it to square.js. So that's included. And now you can see that my program is running. And if I go and have a look and I can type in square list, it shows me it has 100 squares. And the first square has the number 0, a height of 50 and a width of 50. The second one is 1 and 50 and 50. So I have 100 virtual squares. But I can't see them at the moment, which is kind of sad. So what I'm going to do is every time I draw the frame, I'm going to actually draw those squares. So for let I equals 0, I is less than 100, I plus plus, because I know there's 100 squares, I'm going to go square list, and I'm going to get whatever square is currently referred to. So the first time it runs is going to be square 0, and then square 1, and then square 2. And what I'm going to get each one of them to do is run draw. So it's going to draw itself. So dot draw. So now when I run it, I get this. And you only see one. That's because all of them had their top left at 0, 0. So you can see there's progress here. Now I could have put all of this rectangles and all of this stuff in my main thing here, but it will just make things a lot more complicated and harder to handle. It's just better to separate concerns. So what's the problem over here? The problem is that I don't actually know the x and y coordinate that I should have for each individual square. And the only information I have for that is based on the number of the square. So, how am I going to solve this? Well, I guess I'm going to need some maths. Rightio, let's go and draw a picture. This is what you have to do. You have to draw pictures and try and solve problems. So I'm going to bring up Paint. .NET. I'm going to try and nut out this problem. Okay. Okay. So what I need to do is somehow I need to create a 10 by 10 array. And this will be the first square, so 0, 1, 2, blah, blah, blah. This will be 9, this will be 10, 19, 20. And eventually this will be 99. And eventually, when I print the numbers, I'll just add 1 to the number so it looks right. Okay, so what am I going to do here? How am I going to solve this? Well, I probably want to break everything into groups of 10. So I'll take. So I've got. I know not. I know I is 99. I is the number. So if we do I percentage 10, that'll give me how far across it is. And if we do I divided by 10, that'll give me like the tens column. So this will give me the units column, and this will give me the tens column of the number that I'm doing, provided I round down. Okay, so it'll give me the tens and the units, and once I know the tens column, I can go 10 minus that, because I want to invert it. And that should go from the bottom, and then I'll deal with the reversal later. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So here, I'm going to work out the x and y coordinate when I create it. So, let tens equal I divided by 10. I'm going to round that down. Yeah, math.floor. And then, so that's the tens column, and the ones. So let the ones equal I percentage 10. And that'll give me the ones, because it'll give me the remainder when I divide by 10. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to go this dot x equals the ones column times this dot width, and this dot y equals the tens column times this dot height. So let's see what happens now. When I go to my code, I get errors. Because I've made a mistake somewhere. It's not I, it's this dot number. And down here, I should set that to this dot x, this dot y. So that was a lot of work so far. So this gives me the tens, so the tens column of whatever number I have, and this gives me the ones column, and I just multiply them respectively by the width and the height. And then I look at it and I get this. And my grid is not big, my world is not big enough here. I'm making progress, so now they're all side by side. So I'm going to go back to my code. In sketch.js, instead of being 400 by 400, I'm going to use this magic variable called window width, and this magic variable called window height. I'll go back to my display, and now it's the full thing. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 3, 6, 9, and I have a 10 by 10 grid. And so this code's looking okay. This is pretty easy to understand, and this still looks nice and clean and easy to track. But I'm not really sure what's going on here, so I probably want to actually write the number in the corner. So text bracket. We want to write this dot number, and I write it this dot x, this dot y. Go back to this, and now you can see they've all got numbers in them, except this dot x dot this y is the top. So what I'm actually going to do with that is I'm going to not be pretty at the start. I'm just going to add this dot width divided by 2 and plus this dot height divided by 2. I'll go back and now everything disappeared, which was unfortunate. I don't know why that happened. Let's add 10. It was unexpected. minus. I don't actually know where the text went. That's disappointing. Minus is moving it upwards. So I want to add 10. Save that. Let's go. Why did it do that? I wonder if I need to draw them in a different order. Okay, so what was happening there was that I was writing the text, but then I was painting the rectangle directly on top of the text, so I wasn't seeing the text. Drawing order is important. Okay, so now I've got 0 to 99, except it's not kind of snaking the way I want. So I wanted to start down here with 0 and go that way. And I want to go back and forth. So the first thing I want to do is invert the order of the rows. So I want 0 to start down the bottom. So that's pretty easy to fix. So when I work out the tens, I'm just going to go 10 minus. Okay, so now they're all inverted. It's offset from the top a little bit now. So maybe I'm just going to make it 9 minus. Okay, so now I go 0, except every second row. Now let's see. Every second row needs to be backwards. Okay, so that means that if the tens is 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, then I need to invert the ones. So if the tens, when I divide by 2, is equal to 1, the ones is going to equal 9 minus whatever it is. I'm going to invert them. And that kind of worked, except did it work the way I wanted? 19, 20, 9, 10, 11, 12, 19, 20, 29, 30, 39, 40, 49, 50, 59, 60, 69, 70, 79, 80, 89, 99. Okay, that's right. Why does it feel wrong? Because 9, 10, 19. I'm going to flip the sides. This feels wrong for some reason. Because I would have expected to start here and up here. Maybe I've missed something. Oh well, better go back to Wikipedia and have a look. Maybe I took some bad notes. Just go and have a look at an example. $91. Okay, so they just have it flipped. That's why it feels wrong. Okay, so I'm going to flip this. So if it's equal to 0, I'm going to flip it. Okay, so that's better. So 0 to 9 to 10. Okay, so now I have a board and I have all my squares numbered correctly. Okay, so now I can go back to my mind map and I can kind of tick some stuff off. I've numbered each square and I've got a 10 by 10 grid. And I've also got the zigzag going. So I'm going to leave that here. And next video, we will tackle another problem.